you haven't failed in life, hello, welcome back to Nurse Life. If you are new here, welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for coming back. My name is Marian, and in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you some strategies that you can use to study for NCLEX if you did not pass the first time. Alright, so before we get into this video, I just need to say this, and I need you to hear me out. We all at some point in our life have failed. Failure is a part of life. If you have not failed in life, you then have not set a goal that is bigger than yourself. You haven't dreamed of something that is more than the level you are currently on. If you have done these things, somewhere along the line, you have experienced failure. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with failing. It gets bad when you do nothing about it. Now that that is out of the way, let's get into these strategies. So the first thing you need to do, if you did not pass the test the first time, you need to request your test report. Once you get that test report, look through it, get a notebook, get a note card if you're a note card person. Take a note of the content area or whatever area you did not do well in. Take a note of that area. Write it down. The second thing that you need to do is to reflect on how you studied. When you first started to study for your NCLEX before taking the test, how did you study? Were you actively studying or were you passively studying? And passively studying will be you just sitting there, reading your book, or answering questions, remediating, but not really taking notes of those rationales as you read through them. To actively study, you need to answer those questions, read the rationales, and take notes. Write information down. For some people, this is crucial. I know for me, when I am studying, if I sit down and write information down, I tend to remember more. You remember information when you write them down. So take notes as you read the rationale. The third point, when you went to take your NCLEX or before going to take your NCLEX, how nervous were you? See, being nervous or anxious is part of life. Anxiety is part of life. We all have some level of anxiety. It only gets to a point where it becomes out of control if we cannot control our anxiety within ourselves. Okay, so if you are someone who gets anxious during an exam or before an exam, you need to figure a way how to stay calm. This is a big test that you're going to take. So you want to be as calm as possible to allow your brain to focus on answering the question. Hey, you want all of your brain on your side when you're answering this question. So you want to do everything where it is just focused on helping you answer NCLEX question and succeed in it. So how stressed were you when you went to take the exam or when you were studying to take your exam? Before I took my NCLEX, I was here on YouTube. I watched videos of people who did not pass the test the first time. I also watched videos of people who passed the test the first time. I wanted to learn from people's experiences so I could apply some of the knowledge that they gained through that experience to my own self, so that I could succeed when I take the test. And the one thing that I learned where people would talk about how nervous they were, how they worried about taking the test, and even on the day of the test, they were so anxious and they felt like that had led to them not being successful on the exam. So I took that as a key and I made it very intentional to really stay calm during my exam when I sat in that exam room. Try to stay calm during your test. So after you have graduate school, it is not the time for you to work a lot. It is not the time for you to say yes to all the open shifts that you will be called to fill in. This is the time for you to study. And don't schedule your test so many months ahead. No, because during that time, something could happen. You could have so many distractors along that wait period that could really set you back. You have worked so hard to build a study skills throughout the time you were in nursing school. You need to utilize these skills because if you don't use it, you will lose it. In so doing, you need to study every day. You need to read every day up to the last day of your test. So after you have reflected on the time you have studied before you take this test and wasn't successful, I then want you to create a study schedule for yourself. Whatever resource you are using, just make sure that you have access to practice questions online. When you go take the NCLEX, you will be sitting in front of a computer, so you want to prepare yourself for this. You are not putting pen to paper, so if you have a resources where you are answering questions just in the book, they have nothing online, you want to get away from that. Whenever you begin your study session, make sure you start with answering questions first. Once you have answered these questions, make sure you are remediating, and that is just reading the rationales. I know some people are big on note cards. For me, I am not a note card girl. I love to write information down, but not on a note card. I have tried it before and I figure out, you know what? It makes me feel overwhelmed. It gets too many. It's just all over the place. Yes, they have these cute little boxes. I've bought it before myself where you have to have multiple, and I wasn't a note card girl. So what I did, I got a special notebook and I wrote down information in this notebook. Whenever I am remediating or reading the rationale, I took notes and wrote it down in this notebook, and that really helped me. So getting organized, have your information in one place. If you are someone who absolutely cannot do it without note cards, go ahead, get you a note card. Make sure you organize them and know where information are when you need to access them. If you are not a note card person, get a notebook, but you need to actively study, and that will be you taking notes. So just to go over all of these strategies, get your test report. Review your test report once you have it. Take note of area that you did not do well in. Reflect on the time that you studied before taking this test. How did you study? Were you actively studying or were you passively studying? The area that you did well in, how did you study those content? The area that you did not do well in, did you know ahead of time that that was your weakest area? You need to focus on that and think about a way to build your strength in that area. And reading the rationale will help you retain content. You don't want to increase your hours at work. You don't want to put your work ahead of your study time. You will have plenty of time to work. You will make a lot more money than you are making currently if you pass your NCLEX. So just remember that and let your NCLEX and let studying for your NCLEX be a priority for you. And I know sometimes this can be really tricky because if you are a self-supporting student, I was a self-supporting student before, you have bills that you have to pay, right? So you need to work. But just make sure that you are balancing work with your study time. And just how you have managed to go through nursing school and balance your time, this is the same thing that you need to do. Don't take a break until you have passed your NCLEX. On test day, don't show up to your testing site right on time or late. Make sure you plan ahead of time. Get to the testing site sooner. For my test, I arrived like 30 minutes earlier. There was no rush because you will feel nervous. You don't want to be stuck in traffic. Limiting these things that will increase your anxiety or make you feel nervous is really helpful, and identify things that will help you stay calm. When you do these things, I am guarantee you that you are going to pass NCLEX the second time or the third time you take it. You have to be intentional. Alright, so now that you have had these strategies, I hope it helped you. Apply it to your study and you will do well. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from me. I'll see you in the next video. Good luck to you, and I can't wait to see you in your scrub. Bye.